How's it going, Alex?
Good yourself.
Not too bad, man. I like the I can't really see behind you. Is that like a Leafs jersey or something? I can't see from here.
No, that's actually my current hockey team jersey.
Oh, okay. Oh, right on.
Yeah,
I just because on Zoom when I'm talking, I can only see you in like a little like picture. So
yeah.
all I could see was blue. So I'm like, oh, come on, we got a Leafs fan here. So
Nah, I'm not a Leaf fan, but I don't hate the team.
fair enough.
So nothing against the Leafs, to be honest. I enjoy watching them.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I mean, I
Yeah,
got the Pittsburgh thing, so I can respect that.
yeah. Big Pittsburgh fan, mainly because of Flurry. I grew up watching Flurry, so I would say Vegas now because of where he's at. But
Yeah.
no, I grew up near Ottawa, so for me to like the Leafs is something that I just can't really do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, like I think like a lot of people were upset when they got rid of Flurry, like the way they treated him and sent him off to Vegas. Now I heard like rumors they're trying to get him back, and it's like, well, no, I mean you lost him, so that's your problem. So
yeah. Although surprisingly, apparently he said on social media that he would love to go back if he had the chance.
really,
Yeah, to end his career where he started, he said he'd be okay with that. Even like a more like a second role than the starter, so he'd still be fine with it.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's what I think a lot of guys do. I think like that's kind of what Pat Marlowe is doing right now.
Yeah,
Obviously he was with Toronto, he was with San Jose for so many years, and then went to Toronto. Or yeah, sorry, then went to Toronto, and then I think he got traded to. It was just a bunch of trades, and now he's
yeah,
back up in San Jose to really end his career. So it's really nice to kind of see things like that for sure.
yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, enough about the hockey here, Alex. So how are things in? You're obviously you're living in Alberta, right?
Yes, that's right. I'm in Lethbridge, Alberta right now. Things are just okay with COVID going on, and we have some really strict restriction here in Lethbridge.
Mm-hmm.
We're at the point where it's a lot harder with a lot of the cohort system that we have in place,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you compare it to the cities around us. It is really strict and it's affecting a lot of the work. Like people like myself that are mainly focused on coaching, whether it's hockey or just off ice coaching,
Right.
we're affected by that because we're locked at a certain amount of courts, and then we can go beyond that. So, but overall, for me, good in a sense because it gets me the chance to grow in other sense or other places. But yeah, Lethbridge is not doing so well, especially with schools and so on. So kids are where you see the most cases right now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I was going to ask you how the COVID was there. Um, I probably not as bad as it probably is here. Ontario is just a hot spot. It's just terrible here.
Yeah,
Um,
not quite. We're third right now in provinces too. Like you guys are second. We're third right now, and the cases are going up or keep on increasing. And the biggest thing for us is school. Schools is where we get the most of the cases,
yeah,
which is shitty because for example, my team this year, I played senior double A, and our team got or season got canceled this season.
yeah,
Just the fact that there's too many cases and they didn't want to take any chances. So two of the three senior double A leagues got canceled. And then it's frustrating for us because that's an outlet and we do care about our season. But now you see the cases rising and most of the cases are coming from like the kids. But and I've been at this point with Lethbridge, they're considering shutting down the entire amount of hockey.
yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate how everything's happened. Um,
Oh, for sure.
I know, like in my hometown of Chatham, Ontario, it's like we have a junior B team uh,
Yeah.
called the Chatham Maroons, and they're having a problem. Like the league, it's called the Go JHL League, and they've already said, yep, it's up and running. I think starting December 1st. But the problem that they're having is that that's nice, but so basically all the teams are is like Chatham, London, Listowel. Uh, there's a whole number of teams, but the problem is they're bigger cities, and it
Yeah.
to every municipality to make a decision whether the guys can play or not. And it's unfortunate because some of these guys are that's like their doorway into the
Yeah.
OHL and then eventually maybe NHL. So it's unfortunate for those guys that especially they commit to a team, so they move here, and then they're like, well, what the like
Yeah.
what am I
Yeah.
doing here? I'm
Yeah.
moving back home because what am I doing? Wasting my time waiting and not playing. So and they're away from their families. So if they're, whether or not they're with a billet family or not, it's unfortunate for these guys. And
No, yeah. It really is. I got to skate with a bunch of East Coast players and WHL players last week.
oh yeah,
I was chatting with a lot of them with their friends, and then I was chatting with them, and it's so hard to wait in the unknown right now. So junior year started, and we saw a few this year where WHL players are playing junior eight to start the season because they've started. I think they're almost a month in at this point. But WHL and everything, like I know the OHL doesn't sound too promising right now. The Q has had some issues. The WHL is looking like it's going to be going up to Christmas. They seem pretty optimistic about it, but nobody found until about a week and a half ago. And East Coast players have an idea, but teams keep on folding. So it's tough for them to know exactly what's going to happen and what to do next year. So a lot of guys right now, they're just skating to skate because they don't know anything. And it's tough to be motivated for those guys because, like, hey, what am I going to do? And then all youth sports teams got canceled as well this year, at least for Canada West. So no league. So again, a lot of my friends that usually play now are just skating to skate because there's nothing else to do.
yeah, and I guess that's the biggest issue. But I mean, obviously, when you talk about like NHL and those bigger leagues, they can get away with it because, well, one, the guys are getting paid a bunch of money, so for them to like get sick and then take a week off from playing, it's not going to be a big deal. Whereas they need the crowd, they need the fans to be in the stands, especially for the lower leagues, because that's how they make their money. And if they can't have people attend the games, they're like, well, why? Even if there's no cases, still, how are we gonna have these guys play?
Yeah.
So, having the fans. So I think that's also a big thing too.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Just playing CRW for us, if we don't have fans in the stands, we can't play because they pay for most of our stuff when it comes to paying for the ref, the staff, and all that stuff. It comes from the stands. So stands is crucial. And like East Coast players, that's the only way they make money. They
yeah,
have to have fans in the stands. Same with WHL and junior teams will get with some sponsorship, but teams like the WHL, OHL, QHL, they need their fans and need the sponsors and everything to be able to run a season because it's pretty expensive for those junior teams. So without fans, forget it. Like it can't work, can't function. So
yeah, definitely. So just moving forward. So
yeah.
before, when we were chatting before, so how do you know Candice? You mentioned something about training at one of her gyms, or what?
Yeah. So quick background. I was a strength coach at the University of Lethbridge. Work with multiple varsity teams we have there, and then last Christmas I decided to just go on my own.
Yeah.
Just to be private, to be basically my own boss. I want to take my own decision, not have to answer to like so many manager above me. And I was renting out this one small facility, and I was considering moving out of it because it was so crappy. And then Candice took over, and she started managing the facility. She's like really putting money into it and then flipping it. And now it looks absolutely gorgeous in there. And that's how actually I kind of got to know her because she came to me for consulting because I did the same thing at the university with the High Performance Center.
Mm-hmm.
So I just offered my help, and then from there I helped her in ways where she didn't have to hire anyone to like kind of change some layouts and some work. So that's how I kind of met her, and from there we just clicked. And we have a lot of same vision for that place. The difference is she's fitness, I'm athletic. So that's nice because we don't clash over, but we do see the potential in that facility she has. And then, yeah, I was trying to help her succeed in that. And I know she's trying to do the same for me with my athletic program. So,
yeah. So I guess I was going to ask like what it is that you do, but so you're doing more the endurance training, like the athletic part of the training.
I do everything. The difference between strength coaches and sport performance coaches is I focus really on the needs of the sports in terms of like the movement patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Such an example, hockey players, we have tons of deficit due to the biomechanics of the skating. And I'll put them strength when I find with strength coaches, they get really good programs, great athlete, really strong, but they don't necessarily understand the biomechanics behind the sport to an extent, or they do to an extent, but they don't fully understand it. And that's how you see guys getting injured and damaged throughout the season because they don't get to fix those little imbalances, such as like their hips, their ankles, their knees. And so there's so many little tweaks that we can do that a lot of those guys don't do. And that's what I'm trying to focus on. Despite like I do everything else, like I do what a strength coaches will do, but I add a little tweak to it, especially when it comes to in-season phase. Just so I can really make sure that our guys are safe and healthy and maximize their potential when they're playing with it, regardless of their sports. I work with baseball, I work with basketball, I work with tons of sports, but hockey, obviously being a hockey guy myself, that's my niche, that's my main one. But
Okay.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing as like any strength coaches, but I'll have a bit more emphasis on the movement pattern before anything else. And when I mean movement pattern, I don't necessarily mean the mechanics of the lift. I mean the actual movement pattern of the sport.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like everything you're doing is kind of applying to whatever they're training for, whether it be hockey or whatever sport.
Yeah, that's right. So I try to basically break down the sport and how can I maximize their efficiency within the gym.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's interesting. You know, I had you on here because, you know, there's actually in Chatham, they do work with generally the Maroons because they are the big hockey team and they tend to do a lot of that kind of stuff with hockey players.
Yeah.
But the coach on the team, his brother actually has a place. It's called, I think, Fuel, something Fuel. I'm not, Fuel Athlete. I think that's what it's called. And he works with a lot of guys from the team. He'll help, and it's kind of the same idea. Like he's helping them train for the hockey season. So I know he typically does tend to take other athletes as well, like local athletes, whether they be like I know he had one girl. She was a goalie here in Chatham, but she just actually I had her on the podcast. But she's out at Vermont College now, or
Nice.
Vermont University, and yeah, so he has different players. He'll have like other athletes, like sometimes baseball players, just other players, and he'll do a lot of movements with them and work on their strength and conditioning, and it's good. I mean, it's good that he's still able to do that with his kids. I mean, it helps them in the off season, and you see them and they come back in the next season, they're just all fired up and they're ready to go. And it's nice to kind of see those kids be able to get that kind of training. Now, I was going to ask you, so when you get your clients, is it based through advertising, or do you have like a deal set up with teams, or how does that all work?
I have a bit of everything. So I have a contract with Boxall Academy, which is one of the most prestigious baseball academy in Canada, but one of the world too. So I do Boxall Academy, the Jets. I do their off-season training, and I'm pretty fortunate working with those guys too, because they get guys committed to D1 school. They even get guys drafted, but mainly also because I get to work with great coaches. One is Jeff Kroschel. He's been a consultant for the MLB for years. He worked with the All Blacks in New Zealand. He's worked with Blue Jays, and I get to learn from him. So I'm pretty fortunate to have a guy like that to work with and actually collaborate with.
Well,
and then yeah, so that's one guy that's pretty cool to have. And then I consult with there's a new hockey academy in Manhattan, which is about like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive from here. So I consult with them on a monthly basis where I just go up there and I work with those guys. They have a great strength coach who's a good friend of mine, but I mainly just help with the rehab and injury prevention stuff. That's a big niche of me. So like myself, is just like focusing on fixing guys and helping guys being in their best. And then obviously I do local guys, and right now Modern Hockey has a contract to another strength coach in town. So he's got most of the big contracts, but regardless of that, I get a lot of guys through Modern Hockey that just on their own come and pays. They come train with me. But right now my athletes are mostly older, so I have a lot of guys playing the BAM AAA, midget AAA, and college, junior. So they're in the winter. I don't have a lot of guys in town. They're mostly out with their teams. In the summer, so I get most of my guys. Winter is mainly just contracts, like I said, Boxall and the academies.
Oh, okay, right on. Oh, well, congrats. I mean, getting some of those clients for sure. It does. I think that does help you with getting your name out there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so I mean, what is it that you like? What's your likes and dislikes of coaching, or what's the pros and cons?
Wow, actually, that's a good one. For me, the pet peeve I find is when guys are closed-minded. That's my biggest one, and I see that too oftentimes. And I totally understand, like, no, you could be the best in the world and have the best program. If your athletes don't buy in, they won't get anything out of it. And then a lot of guys are just biased towards their trainers or the first one they've ever had and so on. And it's fine. The problem is, like, I try to tell the guys, like, be open-minded. There's always some good to take out of everyone. Yes, there's some bad to take out of everyone. There might be some really bad coaches, but there might be one cue that will help you out. Especially for guys that are aging and are going up in junior and then going to the pros, is you're not always going to have your strength coach around. You're going to have whoever's the coach for the team. So you got to learn to be coachable, basically. So have that open-minded. That's one thing that I see as a pet peeve for myself, is when I see kids that are closed-minded and like resistant to learning something new because it's new.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes I find kids judging rather than just asking a question, or athletes in general. So just don't judge, ask a question, ask us why I should be doing this. And with everything I do, when I explain what we're doing, I try to explain to the extent of the science is why we're doing this and what's the benefits of this, rather than just tell a kid what to do or an athlete what to do. Because I find, first of all, they'll buy in a bit more, and then it'll actually apply properly rather than just going through the motion. So yeah, if I have athletes, if I can have athletes open-minded, great. And I see more so on the goalie side because I coach goalies as well. So when I coach my goalies, especially when I in a new city or in Lethbridge right now, sometimes it's tough for a team to just, or goalies to buy in because they've been with the same guys for so long. And for them, if it's not those guys, they don't believe in anything. But I believe a lot of goalie coaches, especially good ones, have something to bring to the table. So everybody has something to give it. So if you guys can just keep an open mind, that'd be great. I thought it would just be coachable.
Well, and that's it. I mean, if you're not keeping an open mind, you'll never learn and you'll never progress as an athlete. And you have your coaches; they're there to help you. They're not there to. I mean, maybe a little bit of constructive criticism, but that's kind of their job, you know.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's I've had some bad coaches in my junior career that I was like, yeah, I didn't get much good out of you, and everybody's gonna have bad coaches at some point. But again, I still believe there's something to be taken out of it. Learning experience and so on. So just keep an open mind, give it a try. Don't just shut down right away because it's not your style, it's not you, it's not the fact coach you like. Just keep an open mind, give it a chance, and it might work, it might not work, who knows. Just go within everything with an open mind.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you get a bad coach, you know, you still get that experience to know what it's like to get a different experience with a different coach, even if you don't feel like you got the best out of them. You know, at least you got that experience to understand. Okay, it's like when you're going out buying houses. I mean, you might not see the house that you like, or you don't get a good experience with one house, but you keep looking for the one that works for you, and you learn to know what's good for you, and you learn from your experiences. So you get one bad coach, but it's like, okay, well, but at least I learned something, and maybe I learned his point of view and what this works for whoever. So I think it's always good to, like you said, keep an open mind. But so I guess we were kind of talking about COVID earlier. So what are the safety measures that you have to take when you have your clients come in?
So for us right now, it's pretty easy. It's a private facility, so we're fairly lucky with that. I usually don't have crossovers, but all we ask is like guys have to hand sanitize their hands as they walk in, wipe down everything as we go on. But the biggest one is if they show any symptoms of any type of sickness, they're not allowed to come into the gym, and they have to wait 3 days, or they have to be 3 days symptom free to be able to come back to the facility. And especially with the amount of cases rising right now, there's no chance on taking it. And that's pretty much the same thing we're following with schools right now. So if you have any symptoms, don't come. And I do ask, I'm really close to my athletes. I usually just ask them to send me a text or something to let me know that they're not coming because of so-and-so. So if something happens later on, I know. On my side, I keep track of all the attendance in case something would be to happen or someone was in contact. I need to share the info with all the players. And if they have to isolate themselves or get tested, and if they test negative, then they're good to come back, as long as they don't show any symptoms of any other sort sickness.
Yeah, and that, I think that's the problem anywhere you go, any workplace, any gyms, whether they have a questionnaire for you. I think the biggest issue is that, someone could have a case of just having really bad allergies, like their eyes are all watery, they're all stuffed up, they got a sore throat, and I mean, they could very well say that's normal when I got allergies, or but unfortunately that's they're looking at things like that. I mean, I'm no doctor, I'm no expert, I'm not sure what the main symptoms are, but I mean, they could, it's unfortunate for people who want to go train at a gym or train at a facility, and because they got a little bit of a sore throat and they can't go or whatever, it's unfortunate.
It really is. And the correct part of that is that it's not my decision, it's just how it is right now for us here. But no, if it was for me, because sore throat, that's one that can be placed under COVID. So that's a tricky one. But yeah, if you have a runny nose, doesn't mean you have COVID. Usually runny nose is the stuffy nose, it's not a runny nose. So there's so many factors like that changes. But but yeah, just because of like the way it is and how strict things are over here, we have to respect that. So, but yeah, it is stressful, especially because at the end of the way I see it is the kids are suffering for it. And then the more likely the kids are going to move, especially right now, the kids are sitting all day at school. They're at their desks, they're not moving, they're not active, which also for hockey players feeds into their bad hips, their back glutes, and so many other issues.
Oh, when,
So the more I can see them, the better. But yeah, no, it is definitely frustrating right now.
yeah, definitely. And it's not even about people getting sick. It's just the mental health part. It's the people, I think when the gyms were closing or when the gyms were closed for that little bit, I don't know what it was like in Alberta, but I think
It's
it
bad here.
I think it was for everyone. And I tell you, like, I think it really impacted mental health. And I mean, even mental health after. I guess bodies are, I guess physical, uh, like your physical look is not what matters. But I think for someone who could be physically fit for so many years and then they can't work out, they can't stay active and they put on weight. I mean, that still takes a toll on your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Having to fight to get back to where you were. I mean, that's just difficult. I know firsthand. I put on a little bit of weight, and it took a long time to get back to where I was originally with my coach, and I'm still not slightly there, but I'm getting pretty close. And I've had to really work hard to get back to where I am, and it seems like it didn't take much for it to go back on. So,
Yeah.
for things like that, I think it is tough for everyone all around. So anyway, says they're having a tough time with this. I believe it, and
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I can understand. So I can't really. I'm pretty fortunate over the years. I built quite a bit nice facility in my basement. Though we had a massive shortage of weights here in Lethbridge. Um, like even in Alberta in general, like everything was sold out everywhere. So I was still fortunate to have my own training facility. When COVID first broke out, I've had a lot of parents and athletes that were freaking out, especially guys going to junior, really worried about not being ready. So like, hey, how am I going to do this? So for a little bit, I did offer my training facility to some of my top end athletes to come train at home in my basement on a private time. And then when they started lifting a bit of restrictions, so we're allowed up to 5 in the house. And then as soon as we're allowed up to 20 outside, I was running dry runs because like the kids were going crazy. And it's funny, my shit, like that's a lot of my older guys the same thing. Hey, I put on a lot of weight. Like I need to lose this. Like yeah, we'll get you to lose it, but mentally, it took a lot on these kids. Like, no, hey, am I going to be ready? They're like worried, they're stressed, they're anxious. Like, am I going to be ready? If we're saying, am I good to go? Are we going to have junior camp? Am I good to go? Am I going to be strong enough? Am I going to be big enough? Because especially those like 15 to 16-year-old guys, like they want to get strong, but they want to get big too because they're scrawny at that point. They really want to be able to compete with those 20 years old guys and juniors. So for them, it was like really tough mentally because they knew they were losing time to put on the weights and everything needed to do to get ready for the season.
I think like for myself, I bitch and whine about having to like cut down to where I want to be and cut that muscle or to cut that fat and keep that muscle or gain that muscle. But you look at some of these smaller kids and for them to just having to work to put on that weight, and it's so much. I think sometimes it is harder than just people just losing weight. I mean, they just have to do whatever they have to do and lose that weight, and they can do it in a certain time. But when these kids have a time frame and going back to hockey, yeah, it is pressure. It's like, yeah, I got to get that as quick as I can.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. But yeah, so what is it that you do to keep your clients motivated?
It's a good one. Actually, a lot of it comes with education. I want them to understand that what the needs are. Like I'm trying to guide them to. Like I've gone through what they're going right now. Except for my pros, because I've never played pro. Like the highest I played was university hockey. But up until that point, I've gone through a lot of systems throughout my career. So I'm just trying to guide the guys and make them understand why this is crucial. The second thing is I've had a lot of these guys for years now, so I know exactly how to push them. I know who they are, what it takes to push them and get them motivated. And I think the accountability that I bring is great. But the second part here is for us is our culture. Within the guys, like I have college guys that look up to younger kids because they push themselves so hard and vice versa. And then if you take a corner, if you cheat, you do anything, like the guys will let you know. Like we become a family in the summer, and our group of hockey players is absolutely amazing. The culture is great. Doesn't matter who you are, they will let you know if you're cheating. So I think the accountability that the guys have and my accountability that I bring to the guys is crucial. But it's just one of my athletes. I think it's the biggest one. Like reminding them of what they're chasing and what they're doing it for. And then the other one is just purely knowing them on a personal basis, so I can actually know how to push them. So I know some guys I just have to be in their face and yell at them, and some guys I just gotta trick them in believing they're doing extremely well, and suddenly as soon as they get the praise, they just push themselves in harder. So there's always a way to find out. And I think it's Ken Hitchcock who mentioned it. It's not the same what it used to be. You can just be in the face of all the guys. Like now you need to know your players and know how everyone respond. And then from there, just push them with what works for them.
Oh, right on, man. Is there like any upcoming things happening at the facility, or is it everything just kind of staying as it is?
No, actually, for me right now, is I'm stepping away from different facility with COVID and everything, and like the potential chance of minor hockey being shut down. I'm just focusing on contracts. So Vauxhall Academy, they have their own facility, so I usually go with theirs. If I travel, I'll go to MedHat. But in the facility, nothing at the moment. So my business partner now, we are currently looking at building or attaching to facility a skill training facility like Snipe Academy in London.
Right on.
Something similar to that. So that's something we're looking at building at the moment. But special event right now, no, we're just gonna go through COVID, see what's happening, dealing with contracts, mostly like consulting contracts.
Mm-hmm.
If minor hockey would be to stay on, we're probably gonna offer a Christmas tune-up camp with 6 days of training just to get the guys, make sure they stay in shape over that time, because they won't be able to skate, they won't be able too much, so we want them to be active and do something. Tune up to like fix their hips, fix whatever needs to be fixed. One of the big downfalls I see with hockey players is they come and train with me or train with their trainers for the summer. They have an amazing summer. They leave, they're strong, they're healthy, and then within weeks of just skating more and not going to the gym as often, they start feeling those imbalances. So they end up having like really tight hips, and then they start slowing their skating is not as efficient.
Right.
They don't feel like it. Despite the tightness, they don't really feel like they're getting worse, but they actually are. And then what happens is they come back in the summer or at the end of the year and they're like, hey, I'm so banged up, I'm sore, I'm this and this. So if I can have them at least at Christmas and kind of help them, 6 days is not a lot, but it's something to at least like show them what they could do for the second half of the season. That's great. And then this year we're offering a spring camp or prep for like all the spring junior camps that they have. So hopefully those will go on so we can have that set in place. But really right now, there's not a lot in the facility. It's mainly just trying to like manage COVID and do the best we can and offer the best service we can for all the athletes that work with me. But like I said, a lot of my athletes are not here anymore. They are playing for academies, are playing in college, are playing in junior. So locally, I don't have a lot of athletes anymore. I just have contracts.
Right. I mean, at least you have those contracts in place.
Yeah.
No, that kind of brings me to my last point here. So can you kind of tell the viewers like where they can find you on social media, online?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have actually all social media platforms. Even got a TikTok now, which is a little weird. Yeah. It's Evo Athletics.ltd. Obviously, the best one would be to go on Instagram. I think it's where I get the most of it. It's usually my main one, and I spread everything I post on Instagram elsewhere. Yeah, if they want to come follow up. Right now, like honestly, a lot of stuff I do on Instagram is purely for the wow factor, like create as much creative video as I can. Just gotta show a bit of fun and like show what we're all about. I've been told I should start promoting more of my knowledge on there as well. I just find that it's not as appealing to the kids, and I try to get the attention of the athletes and the kids. So I'm trying to get them to really be attracted by the wow factor of the page, and then from there I can educate them if they want to come to me. But yeah, eventually I'll try to post a few more things on there just to like educate kids on certain things they might be able to do at home, but just make sure they prevent injuries, because I find it's the biggest one is the one I deal the most with. I get guys, they've trained so many years with ex-trainers, and then they come to me and now they're so banged up, they're not healthy, they're not as efficient as they could be, and I spend a lot of time or too much time trying to fix athletes rather than trying to help them be proficient right away. So if I can teach them a few things right away here and have them as efficient as possible and proficient movers, great. That's all I really want.
Well, it's great to hear, man. Alex, I just wanted to thank you for coming on the podcast and taking your time to talk about a little bit of what you do. And, hopefully this client, you get some more local clients, and hopefully everything picks up a little bit more. And good luck with everything, Alex.
Yeah, no, thanks, Luke. It was an absolute pleasure to be on your podcast.